Oh, fun, kids. Fun with cameras and audio and the whole 9 yards. Okay, man, I had a fantastic Q&A prepared for you, and I'm still going to do a Q&A, but man, I just apologize. I can't tell you, I've got how many cameras I've got in here. One for my pedal, one on me. I got a live one. I mean a Zoom. I've got all sorts of audio set up, but what happened just now as I was getting ready to go live, my whole system crashed and everything started smoking, and no, nothing smoked, but a lot of stuff, like seriously, like 6 things went wrong. So anyhow, we're live and we're going to do this. So I'm sorry that I don't have multiple cameras for you, but I'm here to answer your questions, and we're going to make this work anyhow. See, this is why we do these tests. So just to kind of give you a heads up, I'm planning to do a huge broadcast series. By the way, I'm taking my ginseng here so that I can be nice and energized for you guys. So I'm planning on doing a webcast series for you guys. And this was just a test today to see who's out there. And Escort 777G, what up? Jalen McCoy's here. Nirvana Cobain. Okay. Who else is here? A lot of folks. Brent B. Anyhow, okay. So the point of this is I'm going to answer your questions. The main point was I wanted to get all this technology working before we do the big broadcast. So this is, a fail is good because you fix this stuff that you screwed up with, okay? And I have no idea what's gone wrong here. Anyhow, I'll get it fixed. So let's get some questions answered. As you can see in the chat there, God, I think I need a samurai sword to get into this stupid thing. All right, so questions. Let's get rolling with it. I've got the electric set up. I've got the acoustic set up. I know that my angle isn't the best here, but like I said, the camera that you're looking at right now is my Zoom camera. I had to pull it off from in front of me because my other camera just wouldn't go into focus, and I was having audio problems and just a shit ton of stuff. I'm sorry. All right, let's get rolling here. All right, so the broadcast, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the broadcast coming up. And by the way, we're about 30, you guys are hearing me about 35 seconds behind what I'm actually saying. So I'm about 35 seconds unlive, or I'm live, but 35 seconds later. Okay, so when you put up a question, I'm going to see it, but you're going to get a little bit of a delayed response. So take advantage of me right now. I want to get some questions answered, but I also wanted to let you guys know about the upcoming webcasts. I'm going to be giving away guitars, all sorts of good stuff. I'm going to be giving away one of these, the Jam Stick. We'll be doing that, I don't know, a couple times a month, along with Ortega guitars. Here you go. Here's what we're going to be giving away. Boom. That right there. That's the Jam Stick. We're going to be giving away an Ortega 121. And I believe this is an Ortega R159. We're going to be giving away some Vibe strings. And we're going to be giving away also some Guitar X capos and some other good stuff. Okay, so lots of good stuff for you coming your way. Just hang in there with me while we get this stuff taken care of. Okay, so I'm going to dig into the questions right away here. So first off, when I say kids, I mean adults too, so I just say kids all the time. How do I get the string vibrato and bending to sound right? Great question. Okay, so I've got to scroll to the top here a little bit because we got some kids in here. I'm very happy about that. When I say kids, I mean adults too, so I just say kids all the time. How do I get the string vibrato and bending to sound right? Great question. Okay, so let's get the electric for this. And I'm going to be whipping through these questions, guys, because my guess is we're going to have a lot of folks coming into the room, and they want to have some questions answered. Okay, all right. So Teacher prepare. When one thinks they're prepared and then they're really not. Okay, so all right, so first off, let's talk about vibrato. And the idea with vibrato is you're taking a pitch, and on the guitar, what you're doing is you're bringing the pitch up and then back down. Okay, back to its original pitch. Super important that you do that. And honestly, you should probably learn to bend before you learn to do vibrato. So here's what I do to teach my students to do correct bends. So first off, if you want to, typically you have half step, 1 fret is a half step, or 2 fret, which is a whole step, bend. So what you want to do is you want to pick your target note. If I'm on the 8th fret here, let's say the 9th fret's my target note. I want to play that target note, and then I want to bend up to it. Hit the target note, bend up. So it's fresh in your ear and you know what's going on there. Do this not 3 times, do it like 300 times. I'm serious. Do it a bunch until you get good at it. You want to be good, you got to practice a lot. If you want to be mediocre, then don't practice that much. But if you want to rock, don't be scared to practice hard and to be excellent, okay? Here, whole step. So I'm a whole step below it. I'm going to bend up. Here's my note, my target note. Make sense? That's what you want to do. Practice that with all different strings. The top 3 strings are the highest in pitch. You want to bend, basically you want to bend all the strings to the middle of the guitar. So these guys, you want to bend towards the middle, and the lower strings you want to bend up or towards the ground. So the center of the guitar is where you want to bend it, because if you try to take this high string and bend up, you fall off the fretboard. Make sense? Okay, good. Then once you have your bends down, then you want to practice your vibrato. And everybody's vibrato is at a different speed. Some of them are different depths. But basically the idea is this. You want to... So the idea is you're kind of acting like you're erasing. Well, that's what I always think, is that I'm erasing something. And I'm kind of doing this... it's almost like this kind of function. I'm moving my wrist back and forth. It feels awkward for everybody at first, okay? It just is going to, okay? So that's what I want you to do, and you just have to practice it. You got to do it a lot, okay? Okay. Let me make sure I'm in the right place here. Escort 777G, what up? Okay, so someone said, I wish this thing wouldn't jump around. These are all things we're learning here with YouTube Live, okay? How would you recommend getting into soul R&B guitar? Well, first off, I would say learn the basics of guitar, because like any genre of guitar that you're in, you got to know the basics, okay? So, learn the basics and learn them well, because you can't have a good enough foundation, okay? Your foundation is absolutely important to any style of guitar that you do. So get your foundation well. I have a free 30, the first 30 lessons that I teach all students. I have that free. You can find that on YourGuitarSage.com, and you can go there and get it for free. That's what I would do first, and then I would start copying every soul lick, every chord, every song. Listen to the songs that you love and just play them. That's how you get into soul R&B guitar. Okay. Question: how do I get the strings of my acoustic to stop squeaking? You probably mean like that sort of thing. You file off your fingerprints. It also is good for committing crimes. No, I'm joking. You don't worry about that. People think that all the time in the beginning, that sound of, it's not a big deal. It doesn't really bother folks. It usually bothers beginners a lot, but if you really don't want that sound, then what you can do is when you go from one chord to another, especially if you're sliding up, make sure your fingers lift off the strings in such a way to where you don't get that sound. So either lifting them off completely, or instead of slowly dragging them, I can't describe it, but there's a way to where you can get it to do it. So you just want to practice moving from one chord to the next and lightening up that touch. That will help a ton, okay? Hola from Spain, nice. Would you recommend for practice, what would you recommend for a practice regimen for a beginner, please? First, watch those free 30 videos that I have, YourGuitarSage.com. It'll get you to, and it gets you where you want to go. I tell you what, I'm gonna have my buddy Jason put the description in this video too for those 30 free lessons. If they're not in there already, they're probably in there. That's what you want to do. You want to practice as much as possible, as much as you can pick up that guitar to do it. You want to practice in the beginning. You want to practice your 9 essential chords. You want to understand how to use the capo. I go over this. I have a video called the top 5 things that every beginner guitar player should know. Do those, okay? Know how to use your capo, know how to play your open chords, know a good idea of the Nashville number system. I always think that's very helpful. I know some of this stuff's going over your head, but have it in a lot of my videos here online and in that free course. Know the pentatonic scale, know how to use it. Okay, what is the best low budget electric guitar? Okay, folks always want to know what the best is, and truth be told, you know, it's there's not really a best. There's what's best for you, and there are Fender makes a good starter guitar, not the $200 guitars, but like the $300-400 guitars. Those are really nice, and then also Epiphone makes some great electrics. You kind of want to stay away from guitars that are $100, $200, unless that's all you can afford. And if that's all you can afford, rock that guitar out, make it work, set it up, and play it like you're Eddie Van Halen, and you're going to be fine. So I say don't get too concerned with guitars. People think that they're going to buy a guitar, it's going to be magical, and it's just going to make them better. It's not the case, except for this 65 Strat. No, I'm joking. If I didn't know how to play it, it's not going to sound any better. It sounds a little bit better, but not for what I paid for it. Okay, it sounds beautiful. Don't get too concerned about the guitar. If you want a good affordable guitar, you know, those sometimes are oxymoron. It's like the cheaper you get, kind of the worse the guitar gets in essence. But I cover that in those first 3. In fact, how to buy an acoustic guitar, how to buy an electric guitar, the first 2 videos that are in that series, the 30 lessons that I was telling you about, that are free. Okay, I'm struggling on changing my C to G. I know I have to practice more. Yeah, here's what you want to do, Carlos. You want to take that chord and just with your fretting hand, just move back and forth between the C chord and the G chord. Now in the beginning, you'll probably have a little bit of difficulty with it. So what you want to do is you want to build the chord from the lowest note up. So for instance, if I'm building the G, I'm going to go 2nd finger, 1st finger, 3rd, 4th, depending on how you play your G chord. Some people play it like that, some people play it like this. So, you know, chords are a combination of 3 notes, so whatever combination you use is the chord you choose to use. But if I was playing a G chord, then I would build it from each note, from the lowest note up. And then I think about the C chord. I think about it ahead of time, as if you're on a rock and you're going to jump to another rock. You want to size up that rock, make sure you're going to land in the right place, make sure you're not jumping on slime, going to fall into the river, that sort of thing. So here I am on the G chord, I'm thinking about the C chord, I think about it, I picture it in my mind's eye, what it's going to look like, where my fingers are going to go, and then I build it, 1 note at a time. Now what will happen is, in time, as you practice this dozens and hopefully hundreds of times, it will become faster, and eventually it will almost look like all the fingers are going on at once. And in essence they are, but your mind is kind of thinking about it just very, very quickly. So that's how you want to do that. That's called transitions. I go over that in those first 30 lessons, so make sure you check that out. I go over that in detail. Most of this stuff that you guys are asking me are covered in that series. So don't cheat yourself. Go get that series. It's free, so your mom's not going to get mad, right? Okay, so Nirvana Cobain is saying, hey, I'm good at acoustic, but the electric just feels different. I can't write songs like I do on the acoustic. Yeah, man, acoustic guitars are just kind of like, you know, you want to sing about your girlfriend or whatever because they just sound really nice. You don't have hum from the guitar. You don't have to bother with tone and those sorts of things, right? So it's just not, it's just go time. You just pick the guitar up and you don't have to worry too much about anything, right? So it feels different, and I always say it's like the difference between driving a sedan or a Jeep and say like a Porsche, a really fast car. When you get in it and you hit that clutch or the gas, it's going to be really squirrely. And you steer when you're going fast, you barely turn that wheel, it's going to jerk because that car is set up for speed. It's set up to take corners very quickly, as opposed to a sedan like what your dad might drive or something like that, or a Jeep, which is made for four-wheeling. So everything's different. So in order to get used to it, you got to play it. That's the only way to do it. There's not really a secret there, except the electric guitar is a lot more sensitive. One of my favorite what's my favorite band? The Beatles. I'm gonna say one of my favorite bands because I just have so many of them. The Beatles, Pink Floyd, Muse, Radiohead. I'm so into Rat-a-tat right now. Beach Boys. I have a list so long. I listen to Iron Maiden so much, Metallica. I listen to a lot of heavy stuff. I listen to a lot of classic rock, Aerosmith, Judas Priest. So many bands, it's just not even funny. And then I'm into weird stuff. I love MGMT, guys like that are just out there. I love classical music. I love rock. I love blues. Jazz. I love jazz. I like swing. I don't really love jazz fusion, but it's cool. I just don't particularly love it. Okay. Okay. How do you practice trills? So a trill is when you do this bit here. It's a series of hammer-ons and pull-offs. And so what you want to do here, Zach, is you want to, more than anything, you want to practice hammer-ons and pull-offs separately. Hammer-ons when you pick a note and you hammer. Pull-off is when you pick a note and you pull off. You want to practice that separately, okay? Get really good at that, just doing that separately, and then try to do a couple in a row. And try to do a little bit more. And I'm exaggerating how quickly this is going, like it's going to take 30 seconds. It's not. It's going to take you, a few minutes, and then as the days and weeks go on, you're going to get better and better at it, okay? All right. Played for around 6 years now. I have an electric, an acoustic, and a mini electroacoustic. I was wondering how you would give advice on how to on perfect fingerstyle guitar. I cover this in the 30 lessons, the 30 free lessons, and I cover it in detail, and I give you all sorts of exercises along with downloadable PDFs and all that stuff. Don't cheat yourself. Get it. But here's the deal. In a nutshell, because I could sit here and talk for hours on finger picking. I love it. The thumb takes care of the 3 lowest strings, and this is kind of the classical technique, but most guys abide by it. So 6, 5, and 4 will be taken care of by the thumb, and fingers 1, 2, and 3 will take care of strings 3, 2, and 1. That's how that works. Okay, and just for kicks and giggles, yeah. That camera's still blurry. I was going to see if I could get this other close-up camera on here. So thumb is going to take care of 6, 5, 4. Fingers 1, 2, and 3, or PIM, as I describe them in my materials, are going to take care of strings 3, 2, and 1. And so your thumb's going to jump around should it need to, and that's how you want to perfect your finger picking. And so a great exercise would be like the intro to Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. That's a great exercise that you could use. Okay. By the way, I'm sorry that the sound is not as good as it could be. I've got this great boom mic, and again, all hell broke loose right before the broadcast, so I don't have all my cameras and all my microphones and stuff, and we're just going bare bones right now. Okay. Okay, so that's what you want to do. Okay, you want to practice. You want to practice something like that, and just get faster and faster at it. More than anything, you don't want to cheat. You want to take it as slow as possible to do it the right way. You're establishing habits. Okay. Okay. Question: who are your biggest inspirations to the guitar? Gosh, so many of them, and some of them are not guitar players. Some of them are bass players and piano players and stuff like that. But or keyboard players, but as musicians, I should say. But as far as guitar, Yngwie Malmsteen is one of my favorites because the guy just has such an amazing knowledge of the fretboard, such command. He's a freak of talent. If you don't know who that is, check him out. In fact, I just did a series on his arpeggios, or the way he might think about arpeggios, which is very smart, the way he thinks about them. So Yngwie Malmsteen, Jimi Hendrix, of course, Eddie Van Halen, Nuno Bettencourt's a badass. Oh gosh, so many. You know, there's studio players like Dan Huff and Tommy Tedesco and guys like that. Randy Rhoads was a favorite of mine. And then I love like non-traditional guitar players, like, you know, the guys from Radiohead and the guys from Rat-a-Tat. With the guy from Rat-a-Tat, and so many, I just can't even begin to tell you the ones that I love. You know, there's really just so many. Okay, any suggestions on good practice, on a good song to practice? I know open and bar chords. Any suggestions on a good song to practice? Terrell, that is a really broad question. I have about 700 or 800 videos on YouTube, so I would start there. Go with, pick a name, Elvis, MGMT, whatever, it's a band that you like, or a song name, and, you know, type in YourGuitarSage and then Elvis or something, or whatever it is that you're looking for. Start there. But really, all the songs that I teach on YouTube, at least the ones where I'm with the acoustic, I really try to teach them very simply. Now, sometimes I'll teach on the electric and I'll teach it exactly the way the guy did it on stage or in the studio. I try to stick as close to that as possible. But if you see me with the acoustic guitar in a video, I'm going to really make it simple. So that's where I would start. Doesn't mean that they're not hard. It doesn't mean that they're, you know, dumbed down or something like that. I just, you know, why make things hard when you don't have to? So Carlos is asking, does the size of the guitar slow down your progress? I have a jumbo. You know, Carlos, not really. Most folks concentrate very much on like picks and the guitar itself and that sort of thing, and even though there's a little bit of truth to that, you know, if you have that desire to play, it doesn't matter what you have, you're going to get good at it. So if you're a little guy and you're playing a big jumbo guitar and you have to reach around and stuff, yeah, I would say probably get a smaller guitar. This is a standard size guitar, but a parlor guitar, and did you mention that? I thought I saw somebody say something about a parlor guitar. Parlor guitar, I have them. They're small. They're small type guitars. And they were made for ladies back in the day, like in the 20s and 30s. And they're just a smaller guitar. They're thinner, and the body is smaller. Elvis Costello plays one. And I have, like I say, I have a few of them. They're really cool. So if you find yourself really having a hard time, what I would suggest is going to play some different size guitars. See if that helps you. I guarantee you that if you're on a jumbo and you're kind of smaller framed, that a smaller guitar will help, you know, because you're not having to battle that. But with all that being said, where there's a will, there's a way. So, but no need in making it hard if you don't have to, right? Okay, how old were you when you started playing guitar, and what guitar was your first? I started playing guitar when I was about 13 or 14 years old, and I still have the guitar. It's up in my attic right now, and you should never put a guitar in the attic, but this thing is a piece of crap. It's called the Barclay, and it's the first guitar I've ever had, and it had one string on it, and I just sat there and listened to songs and just played them by ear, just kind of noodled around until I came up with the melody, you know. And a friend of my mom said, hey, he's sitting with this thing for a long time, you know, with the one string, and he seems to really like it, so I'm going to get him an actual guitar. And this buddy got me this tiny. I mean, it was so small, probably a quarter-size guitar, and it was nylon string, so it was a kind of a classical type student cheap guitar. But I learned so much. I learned a bunch of Def Leppard on that thing, and then and I think my next guitar. I think my next guitar was an electric guitar that my dad got for me like later on that year. It was at Christmas. It was a PV Razor. You can look those up online. They're the ugliest guitar that has ever been invented, and I'm so glad that they don't make that style anymore because they are just absolutely hideous looking. But it was a great guitar. All right, so and that was my first and second guitar. So I've been in a rut for a few months. What do you recommend to do when you get in a rut? I get in ruts often, and I gotta be learning so fast. If I'm not learning fast, it drives me nuts. So I always look to new songs, new bands. The second I hear something I love, it inspires me to want to pick up the instrument. So in fact, I've mentioned Rat-a-tat. They've got this song, I forgot the name of it. But there's a killer groove line in it. It's on the album Classics, but it's the second to last tune, yeah, before Taco Bell Cannon. They have a song called Taco Bell Cannon, not Paco Bell, but Taco Bell Cannon. And I had to learn the bass line for it. So I play bass too, and I had to play it because it just got so infectious. Because when you hear something that inspires you, it makes you want to pick up the instrument. So listen, search. You gotta search for stuff that you like, and then get to digging. That's what I would do. How many hours do I practice every day? You don't want to go by how many hours I practice every day, because I do not practice nearly as much as I should. I'm doing so much stupid stuff with microphones and cameras and lights and everything else that I honestly, I'm teaching so much, I'm writing, and I'm on YouTube and what have you, that I really don't get to practice like I really would like to be. I'm not the guitar player that I would like to be. And the only way for me to become that way is to not teach anymore, because if it were up to me and someone was just paying me to do it, I'd probably practice 8, 12 hours a day at least. I'd want to go play tennis and go work out and those sorts of things and sleep well. But other than that, I'd be practicing all the time because I love it. So in the beginning, the first 5 years of my life, I probably practiced anywhere from 3 to 12 hours a day. And if you talk to guys like Zach Wilde and Steve Vai, those guys were practicing a minimum of 12 hours a day. They were practicing from 12 to 18 hours a day. That's how you get good, is practice. You can't not get good if you practice. In fact, there's a challenge for everybody who's listening out there. If you want to be excellent at your instrument, if you just sit with it, now obviously not just sitting like this, but if you're twiddling, if you're doing stuff, you can't sit for 12 hours and not come up with stuff and not get better. It's physically impossible. The brain doesn't do it. You'd have to be a rock to, like, literally, not The Rock, because he works out a lot. You'd have to be a rock to not get better at the guitar if you practice it. So whenever I hear about people who say, I'm not getting better, I suck at this, I'm not good at this, or whatever, it's because they're not practicing that. Your brain is not designed to do something and not get better. It's physically impossible for you not to get better at something. So spend time doing it. Don't be afraid of digging in. The guy next to you probably isn't practicing as hard. So do it. If you're a competitive person, get in there and do it, or compete with yourself. Be as good as you possibly can. So I'd say, how good do you want to be? If you want to be mediocre, practice a half hour a day, Now in the beginning, you got to practice a little bit, right, because your fingers hurt. But if you really want to be good, you got to practice hours a day. If you want to be mediocre, then don't practice that much. If you want to completely suck, pick it up once a week, That's a good prescription. Okay? All right, so okay, here we go. I've got lost in the chat again. Okay, just got a black screen. Is this USA only? Nope, it's everybody. Should be. Streaming fine here in Canada. What acoustic guitar would you recommend? It's around the $500 mark. I would say get an Epiphone Masterbuilt. Okay, just Google search that. It's Epiphone, Epiphone, Masterbuilt, Masterbuilt. M-A-S-T-E-R-B-I-L-T. Epiphone Master Built. I feel like I'm in the spelling bee. Okay, great guitar, by the way. I think it's solid all the way around. Solid top, solid back sides. It sounds amazing. Nirvana. Sucks at improv. So improvise. 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 Get a scale. Watch my most powerful scale in the world, the pentatonic scale. Watch that. Get some chord progressions and practice. Okay? It's the only way you can do it. Fine in the Ukraine. Woohoo! Ukraine. Love it. I have a basic hybrid Travis picking down. How do I start adding melody like Scotty Moore with hammer-ons and pull-offs? Funny you should say that, Andrew, because I have a whole series on Travis picking, on adding melodies to what it is that you want to do. And guess what the cost is? $1. That's right. For anybody who's listening right now, if you don't know about my massive unstoppable guitar system, the link's below in the description. You can get in there for $1. Try it out. If you don't like it, get the heck out of Dodge. Move on. Never practice again. Never get a lady. Die miserable and old. I'm joking. Get in there and try it. And if you love it, stay with me. And if you don't, then get out. But I have a whole series on that. So it's a step-by-step process, as you probably know from doing Travis picking, that it's taxing, and you're like, there's a lot going on, so you have to take it step by step. If you don't, you'll bail out and think that you suck. But you don't suck. It's just you got to do it step by step. Watch that series. The link's below. You can get in there for $1. Can you show me how you would do some percussive strum, like playing the melody strings and making a percussive sound on the lower strings? Okay, Daniel, I will. I'll show you this really quickly, but I have a lesson for this. It's on YouTube. You could find it by typing in YourGuitarSage. In fact, do it right now if you know how to open up a new tab. Go to YouTube and type in YourGuitarSage. That's me. Snare, S-N-A-R-E, like a snare drum. Because I have, and it's called like how to add a snare to your playing or something like that. But the idea is, for instance, if like I'm finger picking, I might do something like so breaking it down here, what I'm doing is I'm doing like a thumb claw, where I'm just like 1, 2, 3 fingers, coming down, taking my whole hand with my thumb and smacking. I'm not doing this, I'm doing this. Why am I doing that? Because my fingers need to be ready to pick the strings again. So I'm going to go like this. Now I'm in position. And that's the basic move. So thumb, claw, smack, claw. You can add some more to it like this. Thumb. Okay, so what I did there is I just did an up strum and a smack. So it's like thumb, claw, smack, up strum, smack. Okay, I go over this in detail in that video, but okay, so watch that video. It's a really good one, all right? Good day, Eric. Good day, Thunderbird. Hey, Eric. Hello, Ian. Chris is saying, evening, Eric. Any tips on overcoming performance anxiety? I freeze up and I forget everything if everyone is around me, including my guitar instructor. Guess what, Chris? I am 46 years old. I've been playing guitar for 30-something years, and it still happens to me. There's certain personalities that, that's why, I mean, I perform, but, you know, you look at somebody like Zach Wilde, these guys that were just like made for the stage. I think part of it has to do with their ego, and I tend to be, my personality tends to be very meditative and very like chill and like squashing of the ego, which if you know what the ego is, it's that thing that makes you step into a room and say, hey, everybody, look at me type of thing. And if you're a performer, you kind of need to have some of that. No one wants to go on stage and see some guy going, play guitar, I suck, you know. So there's a certain amount of ego that you got to have if you're going to step on stage, or if you're going to perform, or you're going to be in front of a camera or something. You guys don't want me to be all timid, you know, even though inside I'm scared. No, but seriously, you know, stepping on stage. So for me, this is what I do. I practice the crap out of whatever it is that I'm going to be doing. If it's one song, I wear it out till I can do it in my sleep. If it's 50-something songs, I do those 50 songs until I know them as much as possible. Obviously, 50 songs is a lot harder to do a set and master than one song. But do as much practice as possible to where you're sick of it, to where you can do it in your sleep. Then when you step on stage, you'll be so bored of it that you'll be like, okay, I have a better idea of it, okay? Now, if you're of drinking age, and I'm not encouraging drinking per se, but this is something I do, is like if I'm doing a gig, sometimes I'll have a beer, and that helps me to chill out. I don't have 2 or 3 or 5, but I'll have a beer. And for me, that's all I need on an empty stomach, and I'm kind of chilled out. Loosens me up a little bit. So, and there are natural, you know, herbal, you know, sedative type things that you can do that just kind of chill you out, just take the edge off. I find that's helpful for personalities like ours. I'm not endorsing any of that. I'm just saying that's what works for me, and it helps me to get out of my head and thinking so much. And then, honestly, here's also what I think. As I say, I'm not saving the world. You know, I'm not, you know, doing brain surgery. I'm not the president, and I've got the nuke or something like that. I'm just playing guitar. And people are there just to have fun. And I look around, and people are drunk, and people are laughing, and people are eating, and people are having a good time. And then I go, what's the big deal if I mess up a chord? And I might mess up a chord, and I don't, you know, it's like you just keep going. So I think to have that kind of attitude that, like, it's just music, it's just art. So, like, what's the big deal? Tell yourself that all the time. It's not a big deal. If I mess up, I mess up. It's not the end of the world. I mean, I've messed up in some major, at the Bluebird, for all places, and it wasn't my fault so much. It wasn't my fault at all, in fact, that I was playing with another buddy, and he forgot the chorus to the song, and it was a hit song, and it was an absolute train wreck. And if you've ever been to the Bluebird Cafe, which is the one that they always show on the show Nashville, that real small little intimate place, I mean, you can fit maybe 40 or 50 people in there, and you're in the center of the room. It's very intimate, and so it's like you got people looking at you from all sides. And it was an absolute train wreck. And I was just like, these people are going to forget about it, you know. So, but yeah, that's what I would do. Benjamin, hey, Eric, hey, what's up, man? Michelle, hey. My lower E string rattles when I hit it hard. Any idea what's wrong? Don't hit it hard. No. You know, it's probably the arc of your neck. So I would say take that guitar to a local guitar shop, or anybody that knows a little bit about guitars. There's something called a truss rod that's in the guitar right here, and you can torque that. I wouldn't advise doing it yourself. I've been playing a long time. I used to do it. I don't like messing with guitars anymore other than playing them. So I always have a guy that I bring it to. I just don't like doing it. You're really not going to break anything, but you can make it get worse. Now you can always put it back, because it's just, you know, left or right. One way torques the neck this way, the other torques it this way. But if it's torqued back too far, you're going to get a, you know, a buzzing sound. So that's what I would say. Okay, how often should you change strings? You should change strings as often as it feels or sounds right to you. So I need to change the strings on this. I'm going to with these Vibe strings. I just did a review for these guys. Really cool company. And this is, by the way, in the free broadcast that we're going to be doing, the webcast that's going to be coming up, I'm going to be giving these away along with a bunch of other stuff, guitars and capos and all the rest, as I mentioned. But for me, this is going to sound crazy, but I don't typically change my strings, but maybe like every 6 months or so. I have a whole bit about that, though, about how often you change your strings. I think it's on YouTube here. So change them when it just starts sounding dull to you, or if you have the money to change them, you know. I don't like changing strings as much because it takes a long time, and I don't like spending the money. So I'm kind of a cheapskate. But I'm not a cheapskate. I just like to save money. But if it starts sounding dull, like these are a little dull sounding. They could be brighter, but it didn't kill me, you know. It's like having fun with it. Okay, Keith has said, yeah, you probably need new strings, or at least a new E string. Well, that buzzing a lot of times is the torque of the neck, you know. Sometimes it can be a bad string, but usually it's going to be the torque of the neck. Or you're hitting too hard, like Nathan said, yeah. Nick is saying, target notes to resolve on. Should I change the scale as new chord passes? Here's my concept of this, Nick. So what Nick is saying is, should he use a scale for each chord that goes by? And you can do that. But here's the deal. And I cover this in detail in my UGS course, the link's below. I cover this in detail because, you know, the idea is that a chord has a harmony, right? And that harmony can suggest other notes, and so you can use different scales oftentimes over different chords. But when you do that, and there's nothing wrong with doing that, but the more you do it, the more disjunct it sounds. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you like jazz playing where you hear all these kind of notes that you're like, whoa, what's that note? You know, they throw in these, you know, maybe they're playing some blues. And they may go. They might throw some crazy, I don't know, passing tones or something like that. It's a terrible example because I'm not a jazz player. But they throw in passing tones, or they might throw in notes that are part of that chord, but then not really part of the key per se. So my style, I like to stick as close to the key, the tonal center as possible, and I might throw in a color note every now and then to make it really special. But I don't particularly love a jazz fusion type sound. It's just a preference thing. It's like art or like food. You know, there's certain things you like. I just personally don't love it. I respect it, and I think it's great. It's a very mathy type of heady type of way of playing. I just don't think that way so much, you know. So for me personally, I don't like doing that. I like sticking within the key. Maybe I'll, you know, for me, I might play, you know, if I'm in a minor key, I might play some blues scale, maybe sometimes pentatonic, maybe sometimes the Aeolian, which is also known as the minor scale. Sometimes I'll play harmonic minor, but really the pentatonic scale can be found within the minor scale, and the blues note is only adding one different note. So really, the difference is very small. But what happens is when you're just playing the pentatonic, it has a certain sound, even though you're taking notes out of the same minor scale. It still has a certain sound to it when you just play those notes alone. Okay, so that's how I like to do it. You know, Ian, hi from Puerto Rico. I've been following your lessons and I've learned the basics into the intermediate. Yay, love it. And I love Puerto Rico. We went there a couple of years ago and it was awesome. You know. Benjamin, who are your biggest inspirations and your favorite songs, artists in music? I mentioned that earlier, but like love Radiohead, Beach Boys, The Beatles, Rat-a-tat, MGMT. There's so many, I just can't even tell you. A lot of heavy metal, a lot of rock, a lot of classic rock. I'm kind of into, you know, what's it called? I'm into all sorts of stuff, but I did go with that earlier in the broadcast, so make sure you check that out, right? What is the first step to start playing jazz? Know your music theory, okay? I go over some bits and pieces in my course in the Unstoppable Guitar System. In fact, I tell you what, a great place to start if you want to start learning jazz is to take the swing section, swing guitar section that I have in my course in UGS. As I said, you can get in there for $1. But if you want to know, you know, the first steps into playing jazz, learn some standards. You know, Fly Me to the Moon. I have a lesson on that on YouTube. You could try that. You're going to learn some basic chords like 7th chords, major 7th chords, 6th chords, minor 6th chords, 9 chords, and I cover all of that in that swing course, and it's one step at a time. I mean, you can't mess up. It's like song 1 has 2 chords in it, 2 major chords, and then it goes on and gets into more advanced chords, but it does it in such a progress that you don't feel any pain. It's really pretty awesome. So that's what you want to do. Learn some of those chords and learn some standards. If you know, if you're into jazz, you're listening to that, then you've got that sound in your ear, then you want to pick some standards and learn them, you know. Our G benders are double benders, good to have on guitars. So I used to have a B bender, a G bender. So basically what Zach is saying here is on some electric guitars you have, and it's mainly for country music, you've got like another device. Sometimes it's built into the strap. Sometimes there's like a little bar over here. Sometimes, let's see, on mine it was in the strap. So what I did is I pressed the guitar down. It's crazy. And there's like a little contraption that bends a certain string up or down, or up, I think it is. And so what it allows you to do is it allows you to get pedal steel, which is a type of instrument, you know, the that instrument that you hear in country music a lot. It allows you to emulate those sounds. So is it good to have on a guitar? I had one on my guitar, but I'm just not a big country picker. I mean, I'll play acoustic country and that sort of thing, but like a chicken picker country type of thing, I'm not. And so for me, that's what it's good for. It just has that sound to it. So if you're into country, you know, yeah, it's cool. If you're not, I wouldn't mess with it because it's just another thing that's going to distract you. That's my 2 cents. I could be wrong. Thank you, Brett. Great video so far. Sorry we don't have all the cameras and all the sound. I wish we did. Essential jazz chords. A 6th chord, minor 7th, major 7th, minor 6th, a 9th chord, an 11th chord, a 13th chord, dominant 7th, diminished chord. Those are the ones you're going to use the most. Those are the ones that I use in that course. Those are the ones you're going to find like all the time. You're going to come across them like, you're going to come across those chords like 99% of the time. And then the other chords, not as much. Okay, and sometimes major and minor. But those are the essential jazz chords. Again, unstoppable guitar system. Get in there for $1. You can check out that swing section. It's really, it's going to get you where you want to get to. And then get with a good jazz teacher. Because I'm not that guy. I'm not a great jazz teacher. I can teach the basics as far as swing guitar, because I love swing guitar. But guys that are really into jazz, get a good jazz teacher. If you're following my stuff and you want to go jazz, I'm only going to be able to take you so far. There's much better guys out there at jazz than me. Hey, I'm thinking about buying a guitar slide. Any advice on what kind I should get? I have several slides. I don't have any. I probably have some underneath there, but yeah, I don't know if I have any up here right now. But I love the mud slides. It's called a mud slide, and it's just basically made of like a bottle. It just has a great sound to it. Great for acoustic guitar, great for electric. I prefer something with a little bit of heft to it, so it's got a little bit of weight, so that when you do it, it's like you don't have to press down on the string so much. It just kind of glides. So that's what I'd say. But honestly, slides are so specific per person that you want to make sure that you try out a bunch. Especially if you know somebody at a store where you can return them if you don't like it, try that. Or buy a bunch, try them at home. Sit with them for a few hours, try them, and then take the others back. That's what I would suggest doing. Don't be shy. You take advantage of some of these companies where you can do that. And I say take advantage. Like they want you to try stuff out, and that's how you're going to buy it. So go and buy 3-4 different slides and try them out. Return the ones you don't use. All right. You're great, man. Give me a shout out, please. I wish I knew how to pronounce your name. Kalachi, I think, right? Thanks, brother. Appreciate you. Garn. Hello, Eric. Hello, buddy. Gareth, yeah, I see. Hey, I see pinch harmonics, squealers, please. Okay, let's talk about that real quick. So, I cover this, I think, in a video maybe on. I think I cover this in where? On YouTube. Sorry, I'm pulling up a preset here. I cover it on YouTube, and I definitely cover it in the course as well. Okay, oh, here we go. Let me use the... I'll use this one. This one's fun. Okay, so I'm using the the Strat, which is, it's not going to get the best squealy sound in the world. But what Gareth is asking for is, you know, a squealy or a pinch harmonic. The idea is, you've heard these before, you know, this kind of sound. Let's see, let me try to do this here. Okay, so that's the idea of a squealy or a pinch harmonic, and the idea is what you're doing is you're kind of choking up on the pick a little bit, and when you go in for a pick, you're kind of going at an angle. The most important thing is that you allow the picked string to graze this part of your thumb. And when I say graze, I mean just nick it, just barely let it touch for just a split second. The idea is like a harmonic, but you're kind of doing it with the same picking hand. So instead of just a normal note, you're going. Pretty fun, right? So, and so this is something that, like, if you were sitting with me and I showed you how to do it, there's nothing I'm going to tell you that's going to get you to just do it right away. Except maybe when you pick the string, allow it to just barely touch your finger. If you hear it deaden right away, then try to get the string to hit your finger lighter, more lightly, okay? So you got where it doesn't make a noise at all, where it's just a picked string, and then you have the deadened sound, where just you muted it with the side of your thumb. Get right there in the middle. And so this is really a subtle technique, like where you know, start with the lower strings and start with lower frets. That'll be helpful, because the higher the string and the higher the pitch, the harder it is to get that squealy out. But just start there, and you'll happen upon it. Not mistake, because you're going for this, but you'll happen upon it and you'll be like, "Oh, I got it. That wasn't a mistake. You got it." Now keep doing it again. Do it again. Do it again. You'll get it in time. Okay. Okay, Kuwa, I really don't know why my low E rattles. I've recently changed strings and I'm really not hitting it that hard. Yeah, get your guitar set. I think that's it. What is the proper technique to use a violin bow with a guitar? I've never done that. You know, the idea of using a violin bow with a guitar is it's just kind of doesn't, you know, the violin one has strings that are curved, you know. So it has an arch, whereas the electric or the acoustic, it's such a small arch that it just doesn't even count. So when you use a bow, you're hitting all strings at once. There's not really a way. I mean, you could just hit the high E or the low E, but other than that, it's just, I used to have a violin bow, and I'd mess with it a little bit because I saw Jimmy Page do it. But really, it's not very useful on the electric because, or on the guitar, because you can't hit individual strings other than the low and high E string. So that's my take on it. But you know, make sure there's a lot of rosin on the bow. That's the thing that makes it grip. Make sure it's a good bow. And then when you're dragging it across the strings, it automatically grabs the strings like you would if you were dragging a piece of rubber or something across it. So, but there's not, you know, other than using maybe like the proper violin technique, which you're at a totally different angle, it's one of those things you'd have to get a feel for, okay? Acoustic amp versus a PA. I've never used an acoustic amp. I like running through PAs. I don't run my acoustic through something, a PA or anything like that, unless I'm doing a show or something like that. But basically, they're both full range, meaning you got the lows, the mids, and highs, so they're both going to be similar in sound. So it just really depends on the amp or the PA that you're using. You can have a really cruddy amp and a wonderful PA, and that PA is going to sound better, or you're going to have a wonderful acoustic amp and a crappy PA, and the acoustic's going to sound better. Essentially, they're the same thing. Atomic Skittles is saying, do you have any tips for practicing two instruments at the same time, guitar and drums? I've never played both at the same time, if that's what you mean, playing both at the same time. Because my hands are here, it'd be hard to drum at the same time. But I think you probably mean learning at the same time. Treat them totally separately. They're totally different instruments, and just concentrate on each one as you're doing it. But I think that's what you mean by that, Atomic Skittles. Brett B. I'm thinking of getting an Ibanez JS24P, the one Joe Satriani uses, endorses. Any thoughts on that guitar or Ibanez? Ibanez makes some great stuff. Maybe I can get an endorsement by them. I would love to. Then I could give their stuff away. But I was going to get that Joe Satriani model because I thought it was so cool. I played it. I think it's a great playing guitar. And Ibanez makes some great stuff. They've endorsed folks for a long time. So they're making wonderful stuff. Who's your favorite classical guitar? Do you have a recommended classical guitarist? I tell you what. Here you go. These guys, Ortega, this R121. I'm giving this away. Not this Saturday coming up, which today is Wednesday, right? So is today Wednesday? Yeah. So not in 3 days from now, but in a week and 3 days from now, if I can get my friggin' cameras working, then I'll be giving this guitar away. Ortega, the kind folks at Ortega, will be donating this guitar for the broadcast. And then also the 159, the R159. This is a nicer model. New reviews are going up for both of these guitars. I find that these guitars are absolutely fantastic. I love them. They've got affordable models. They've got more expensive models. They're great. Okay, so check those guys out. Let's see, is my other camera still blurry? Sure is. I wonder why. So check those guys out. Check out Ortega. It's Ortega guitars. And I think you could just probably Google search Ortega guitars, or I think it may be OrtegaGuitars.com. But Google search that and find those guys. I really like them. I know the guys at the company. They make quality stuff. And it's really, I really dig them, you know. Do I have a favorite classical guitarist? Probably Segovia, but that's only because I was a classical guitar major for 3 years in college, but I'm just not, you know, it's one of those things you can't just like kind of noodle at. You gotta be dedicated to it. So with all that being said, that's why I don't have a classical guitar player I can recommend for you. So, but Segovia is kind of known as being the guy, right? He's pretty awesome. Daniel saying, do you have any tips on playing a finger roll? It's like an arpeggio. Yeah. So like, you know, what Daniel's saying here is, you know, this idea of like, what's that song? Sweet Child of Mine. So the idea here is, you know, finger roll is when you do like, see, I'm kind of doing this finger roll where I'm going back and forth between the first and third string, you know, and that's called a finger roll, and it allows you to get to notes quicker than if you were to pick them with just the fingertip, okay? Now, it's not used all the time. It's just a technique that people use for certain things like Sweet Child of Mine and what have you. So Daniel's saying, do you have any tips on playing a finger roll? Yeah, watch my arpeggio series that's here on YouTube. The one on steroids is in the UGS that you can check out for $1. But it's the same technique. And when it comes to finger rolls, they're tricky. So the only way to get good at them is to practice them. Is there a trick to them? Not really. It's a matter of practicing them because they just feel awkward at first, okay? Can you show me some exercises on how to increase speed for soloing? Thomas, I have some exercises. Like I'll do, you know, like the standard, like 1, 2, 3, 4, the standard, and then I have another exercise where I go 0, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 3, 2. If you didn't get that, you can rewind it. 0, 2, 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 2. And I'll practice that and I'll go. If my pick's at the right angle, that sort of thing. But when you want to play fast, the idea is to practice accurately. Don't try to play fast. Fast is a byproduct. I'm going to play fast today. That's like saying, I'm going to bench 500 pounds today. You don't bench 500 pounds without benching 100 and then 150 and 200 and so on. It's a rite of passage. So if you try to play fast before you play accurate, you're going to fail every single time. Okay? So practice accurately. All right. And guys, I'm going to probably end this in about 10 minutes because, we had those technical issues in the beginning, and I apologize for that, but I got to go to dinner with some friends. And so we're going to be ending this here shortly. But all that to say, hopefully I'll have all this stuff fixed. It was working perfectly. I don't know what the heck went wrong, but it was like a gremlin came in here and started unplugging stuff. But I'm going to do another surprise broadcast at some point in here, and then over the next couple of weeks. And then next Saturday, not this Saturday, but we're going to do that big broadcast. We're going to give a lot of stuff away, so make sure you check that out. Okay, vid and sound are working perfect here up in Canada. Yay, thank you. Royal Rejects. There was a chord I saw you play in the Vibe Strings video you posted and played the 2nd fret on the low E string and G strings and the 3rd fret on the B string. Is there a name for that chord? Hold on, let me think about this. There's a chord I saw you play in the Vibe Strings review you posted. Played the 2nd fret on the low E string and G strings, and the 3rd fret on the B string. Man, I don't remember the name. I'm sorry, Royal Rejects. I'll have to look at that again to see what it is you're talking about, because I don't remember the songs that I played or the chords that I played there. So, sorry, I just can't think of it right now. Okay, do I do Skype lessons? I do, but they're like $100 an hour, and the reason being is that I can reach a lot more people by doing lessons like this. Now, I am going to be starting to do this sort of thing to like smaller classes, like maybe like 5 to 10 folks. So be looking out for that. And the reason being is that it's very expensive to do to teach one person over Skype. So this way you still get a lot of things answered, and it would be a lot cheaper. Okay. What exactly is the Hendrix chord? It's an E. It's we call it the Hendrix chord. A lot of people call it the Hendrix chord. And then the idea is it's an E7 sharp 9. Okay, so here's an E7 coming from this form, which comes from our C chord, which you can make it a C7 by doing that, adding your pinky to the 3rd string, and then you're going to slide that up to the 5th fret, play the 4 middle strings, but then we're just taking this little triad right there, 1, 3, 7, and then a 9 would be that. That's a 2 or a 9, and then you're sharpening that. Okay, that's what it's called. Okay, so I believe Hendrix chords are double stops. That's something different, but I have a whole lesson on that, on double stops, Hendrix style, here on YouTube, so check that out. How do I know when I'm ready for guitar pedals, and how do I know which ones to buy? There's so much out there. I have a whole series of bits and pieces about guitar pedals. Again, in the Unstoppable Guitar System, it's $1 to get in there, and I go over each pedal and what order they should be. I talk about distortion pedals, the whole 9 yards. And I have some free videos here on YouTube as well. They're not nearly as detailed as the ones that are in the system, but start off with distortion pedal or some sort of overdrive pedal. But so much to say about that. Watch that series. You can get in there for $1. You just are doing yourself an injustice if you don't. Okay. Okay, Brian is saying, how do I know if my neck is straight, and how do I make it straight? Take it like this, Brian, and look down it. You want to look, from the bridge to the nut, and it should look pretty straight. It should arc just a little bit up, kind of close to the end. If it doesn't, if it's totally straight, you're going to get a lot of buzzing. So that's how you can tell that if it kind of goes down in one way or to the left or to the right. That's how you know you have a warped neck. Take it to your local, guitar repair guy and see if he can fix it, and that will help. Okay, I wouldn't mess with it. Guitar, a Hendrix chord exactly is an E7 sharp 9. Yes, it was used in Purple Haze, and it's a variation of the E chosen in the 7th fret. It's quite complex, but sounds super cool. Yep. What's your opinion of Dimebag Darrell? I should get into Dimebag Darrell. One of my best friends loves him and says I would love him because he sounds like Randy Rhoads on steroids. So I need to listen to him. I just never got into what that band was. Pantera. Never got into them so much, but I probably should listen to them sometime. All right. What else? I'm going to have to end it here in just a minute here, my friends. So many questions that I didn't get to, and I really apologize for that. So, Sarone Knowlton, what's up, brother? Gosh, so many questions I didn't get to. So, I'm so sorry. But this is good. We're going to be doing this some more. I'm going to be getting into more of these questions. So what I want you to do is I just want you to be, well, if you haven't, make sure you're signed up with my Twitter and my Facebook, because that's where I'm going to be announcing this stuff. Sometimes I'll do it on YouTube. Sometimes I'll do it exclusively for my Facebook and Twitter folks to reward them for following me there. And sometimes I'll do it on YouTube, depending. Like today we just did YouTube. But other times I'm going to be doing it on there, like I did the other day. I did an impromptu one and just let my Twitter and Facebook folks know. And we had like 4 people in here. Oh, no, we didn't. We had more than that. But it was like less than 10. And it was amazing because I got everybody's question answered. And it was here I've got like 10 million questions. So I apologize that I was not able to get to them all. So guys, that's it. I just heard my upstairs. I'm in the bottom basement, and this is where they've institutionalized me, to the bottom basement. But I just heard them walk in, so I'm gonna go have some dinner. And thank you guys so much for being here, guys and gals and ladies and kids and adults and all. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so sorry about the technical difficulties in the beginning. Thank you for hanging in with me there. We're going to be doing a lot more of these, so please, and take advantage of the 30 free videos. You don't need credit card or anything for that. If you want to check out the whole Unstoppable Guitar System, where I have, I don't know, 350 HD videos that are not on YouTube or anything like that, step by step, walk you through different sections, especially the beginner section, and then into blues, and then into swing, and all the whole 9 yards. Check that out. You're going to love that. And if you don't like it, then you wasted $1 and you wouldn't have wasted anything. Okay, my friends, that is all. I love you guys. I'm outie.